the system is failing. We're going to have more homelessness, more unemployment, and the government has to print more money. It's a command and control economy where the government tells you everything. I just don't trust our government. And they're going to have to start printing pretty quickly. And the more they print, the less value purchasing power the dollar has, or the loonie, or the yen, or the peso. People are talking about inflation. I think we're in depression right now, and we're going to be the biggest depression in world history.
In the 1970s, that's when the world was changing.
The biggest bust in the history of the world is coming up. It's pensions. They trusted the government. They trusted their pension would be there, and it's going to go bust. And that's us. We'd get crushed.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As guys, we are seeing major shifts in financial markets every single day. A new bombshell breaks. Right now, the pound is at a 6-week high as Sunak has become the prime minister. The US dollar is beginning to lose its strength relative to other currencies. We see here that the DXY is beginning to break a parabolic trend. It's beginning to reverse from the all-time highs it was experiencing. And this is amazing because altcoin seasons typically occur in tandem with a weakening DXY chart. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been calling for an alt season for a while now. I've been telling you I've been all in with the cash position I took recently. And here we are. This is the moment of truth. I think we're all beginning to get excited as well. And one thing I'll say is, while all these geopolitical factors are happening, the indicators that we in the XRP army need to feel confident in our investment still continue to be checked off. Ripple continues to win. Ripple continues to build. And I have no hesitations in letting you know that I think it's the best option we have. But here, we see that Rishi Sunak is now the Prime Minister of the UK after Boris Johnson stepped down and after Queen Elizabeth's death. There was a huge gap in the UK's leadership, and it showed with the weakening pound. But now, the pound is strengthening, and it's important to note that Sunak's wife is richer than Prince Charles, believe it or not. The reason this is so interesting is because right now, Sunak is pro-crypto and pro-central bank digital currency adoption. This man has been very vocal about modernizing and digitizing the financial system. And it gets me excited as numerous catalysts are happening for XRP adoption over in London. Is London finally ready? Is London going to be the epicenter of this financial currency reset? Time will tell, but it's beginning to look good every single day. Here, something that I want all of you to know is that Ripple advertising has hit Wall Street. The Wall Street, New York City train station had Ripple all over its walls. Impatience is a virtue. 24/7, 365 days a year, Ripple has your back. Ripple has hit Wall Street, and that's no small feat. Advertising about being carbon neutral in a climate-friendly city is something you all need to be made aware of. The climate change agenda is at play, and Ripple is going to be at the heart of narratives backing it. Not only that, but Ripple is also in other train stations in New York City as well. This after Ripple being advertised in London train stations. Are you guys beginning to see the Ripple XRP rollout and marketing plan? Because I am, and I'm getting excited. Ripple hasn't marketed in a very, very long time. And I believe this is a perfect timeline and a perfect time frame scenario for them to begin doing so. With this SEC case coming to an end, XRP utility with NFTs beginning to ramp up, and the potential revamping of the UK financial system, we have to be excited for what's to come. Who knows, maybe the UK's new Prime Minister Sunak may do some type of announcement with Ripple in London at Swell having to do with CBDC's Digital Pound Foundation, etc. I'm allowed to speculate, right guys? It seems so magical. There is a coordinated effort to push this agenda. And if there were any doubt still left in your mind, please listen to how bullish Sunak is on CBDCs and digitizing the payment system. All of this, in my opinion, will lead to XRP's utility and adoption and eventual price appreciation. So get excited as you listen.
This is a historic wall of capital for the net zero transition around the world. What matters now is action to invest that capital in our low carbon future. To do that, investors need to have as much clarity and confidence in the climate impact of their investments as they do in the traditional financial metrics of profit and loss. So our third action is to rewire the entire global financial system for net zero. Better and more consistent climate data, sovereign green bonds, mandatory sustainability disclosures, proper climate risk surveillance, stronger global reporting standards. All things we need to deliver, and I'm proud that the UK is playing its part. Today, I'm announcing that the UK will go further and become the first ever net zero aligned financial centre.
Today, I'm proud to say that under the UK's presidency, the group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside physical notes and coins. Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK. And governments and central banks across the world are working together, looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice. This includes issues that people care about, such as ensuring users' money would be safe and secure, that it could work with other ways to pay, would be energy efficient and available to everyone. A potential CBDC could offer businesses and consumers new ways to pay in the future. It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK. The decision on whether to launch a central bank digital currency is for each country to make, and no G7 jurisdiction has yet made that choice. These decisions raise important questions about the reshaping of our economy, financial systems, and the way in which people interact with money and payments. That's why working together and careful evaluation with our international partners is essential. In the UK earlier this year, I announced a new joint task force between the Treasury and the Bank of England to look into a potential CBDC as a complement to cash and bank deposits. We're also hearing from firms, technology experts and others. Under the leadership of the UK, this report today will help support and inform exploration of CBDCs in the G7 and beyond. With these principles, the G7 is leading an important step change in the global policy conversation. The report covers a range of important matters, such as financial stability, cyber resilience, energy efficiency, privacy, inclusion, and tackling illicit finance. These factors should all be considered when designing and potentially delivering a CBDC that would be fit for the future. Our shared objective is to ensure that CBDCs would be grounded in long-standing commitments to transparency, the rule of law, and sound economic governance. The G7 will continue its work in this important area, working with others to enhance understanding and use of these principles. We're excited to be taking a leading role with G7 members in publishing this exploratory work, bringing money and finance into the 21st century.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from what Sunak had to say, I'm extremely excited for the digital pound, CBDCs, and for the inevitable adoption of XRP's utility. I sense something magical in the years up for XRP, as I remember vividly that Sunak wanted the UK to become a global crypto hub. I think with him in power as the Prime Minister now, we might see that happen. With XRP NFTs launching, with Flare becoming fully decentralized, with Ripple swell in London, and with London ready for a great reset. I see the writing on the wall, and I see exciting times for Ripple and XRP adoption. This lawsuit is coming to an end. The Bill Hinman emails have been turned over. A settlement is likely, and I believe inevitable. And what that means is that this case will finish faster than we expect. Any given moment, a settlement could break, and any given moment, that could cause XRP's price to rise sharply. You need to expect it. And I'm going to play you an interview between Link2 and John Deaton going further as to why right now is the most likely time a settlement's going to happen. Even John Deaton starting to believe a settlement is likely now. And all of you need to prepare mentally for the wealth we're about to make. We're about to cross the finish line, and you better have all your ducks in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
So, John, taking that into consideration, I know that we recently saw Jeremy Hogan suggest that if there was going to be a settlement, he thought it might happen by the end of the year. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I read somewhere that 90% of all SEC cases end in a settlement. And if that's correct or not, but do you think that that is where we end up, or do you think this thing is going to go to the judge? How do you think this thing ends up?
If there was going to be a settlement, it would be from within 90 days of when they were forced to turn over the documents. And so my timeline agrees with Jeremy Hogan in that sense. Ongoing and future sales of XRP by Ripple and in the secondary market are not secured. That if they don't get that, there's not a settlement. If they get that, there's a settlement within minutes. I mean, I'm paraphrasing Stuart Alderati, but he basically said, not to me, to the world, that a settlement happens very quickly if that happens. And if I'm advising Gary Gensler, I'm saying, look, these emails definitely are going to cause issue. We can seal all of this up right now in a settlement. Also, we're really going to lose, Gary. We're going to lose. Let's see if Ripple will pay, let's pick $100 million. Let's take that victory. We can narrow it and say that, each crypto is fact and circumstances. And just because XRP is not a security, that doesn't mean the others aren't. And we can still go after each other one. To me, I'd be in Gary's ear saying, you can get on TV, instead of talking about Kim Kardashian with $1.3 million, dude, you could get up there and say that you held this company responsible. There's one of these big fintech companies. You got $100 million in addition to the $100 million you got from BlockFi. You're holding these companies accountable. You could just spin it politically. You can imagine all the spin masters. It would make us vomit, right? Personally, to hear him spin it into a victory. But he could.
At the end of the day, isn't the risk greater to them to let it go to a decision and lose than to have to do what you just said and settle and have to spin it? Because they're going to look like winners no matter what. And Ripple's going to write a check, and Ripple's going to, even when Ripple writes a check, they're going to know that they won as well. I mean, but would you agree that it's a greater risk for the SEC to run it to the end and lose?
Absolutely. And the only answer I can come up with is that he's pushed it this far because he needs a victory. And if he can get a victory, he can then say, look, I was right. These cryptos are securities. But that's why somebody has got to get into his head and his ear and make him pay attention to the fact that they're not going to win at summary judgment. The SEC, there's no way Judge Torres is going to grant them summary judgment based on the way they pled the case. The XRP affidavits that Ripple submitted, which is almost 3,000 affidavits that talk about non-investment use, not knowing who Ripple was when they acquired XRP, those are factual issues that a jury could decide. If they're going to go with this theory that every acquisition or purchase of XRP is a security, then that means there's no non-investment utility behind XRP. Well, we all know that's not true. So they're gonna lose, and the best they can hope for is the judge says, well, we gotta have a jury trial on certain issues. If you're a politician and you're giving a guaranteed victory, public victory, or your enforcement lawyers are saying there's like an 80 to 90% chance we're going to lose, Gary. What does the politician do, right? He takes the guaranteed political win. And so that what makes me think that it should say.